Okay, I have 8:02 on my watch over here. So why don't we get going, and we'll have some participants, I'm sure some more participants join us. Good evening to everyone on this call. My name is Mahan Mathur. I'm the Vice Chair of Education at the Yale Department of Radiology and Biomedical Imaging. It's truly my honor and privilege to welcome you to our Yale Diagnostic Radiology Open House. Right now, it looks like we have about 50 to 60, about 70 right now, trainees. We're expecting more, and we're really so thrilled that you're spending some time with us this evening. Now, our two main objectives for this session today is firstly for everyone here to really get a better insight as to what our program is all about, what makes it so special and unique, and why we truly believe you'll find a home here at Yale Radiology. And of course, our second objective is to answer all your questions. Now, we've gone through every single one of your questions that you've asked during the registration process. Thank you for writing out those questions. Much of those have been incorporated into the presentation you'll hear tonight. We have a few more questions that we'll answer separately from the presentation at the end of the talk. And then feel free throughout the session to put some questions into the Q&A feature, and I'll sort of take those questions and try to intermix them with some of the other questions you've asked to hopefully give you an idea of and answer all of the questions that you have about our program. Now, of course, as you can see, we're joined by a number of amazing panelists, and I'd like for them to take a moment to introduce themselves. I'll start off with Jamal Bukhari, if you could go introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mahan, and good evening to everybody across the country. Welcome to Yale. I am Jamal Bukhari. I'm the Residency Program Director for Diagnostic Radiology.
Great. And Anne-Marie, you're next.
I'm Anne-Marie Bustani. I've been at Yale for several years, I think around 7. I'm an assistant professor in the Division of Nuclear Medicine.
Terrific.
And I'm an associate program director for the current 3rd-year class.
Absolutely. And Leva, why don't you go up next?
Hi, I'm Leva Andreeva. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Radiology section of breast imaging. I am the selection committee chair, and I'm also the fellowship director for our breast imaging fellowship.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leva. And now the people that really make our program run, starting with you, Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Kachmani. I'm the new education manager to the department. I've been at the university for about 9 years. It's nice to see you all.
Thank you, Amy. And Yas, you're next on my list over here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yas Jabori. I'm one of the senior chiefs. Thank you for being here.
Great. Ben, you want to go next?
Absolutely. My name is Ben, one of the chief residents. So I'm looking forward to this event and tonight. So let's see what we got.
And last, but certainly not least, Janatan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Janatan Sikder, one of the chief residents as well. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Terrific. So that's all for introductions for now. You'll hear from us, throughout the presentation, and we're here to really help you out tonight and help answer your questions. So Janatan, why don't you share your screen and take it away?
So again, welcome everybody. Okay, we're here for the Yale Radiology Virtual Open House, and we hope that we answer all your questions as well as provide information to help you make the best decision for your future. Okay, so our program size is pretty large. We've got 15 per class of DR residents. We have 3 for IR residents, and we have ESI residents 2 to 3 per class, depending on the demands. Okay. We have an outstanding diagnostic program director, Dr. Jamal Bukhari, who not only is an excellent radiologist, but he's also an overall great human being and serves like a father figure, managing the residency as a whole, while still catering to the individual needs of our residents. Personalized radiology, like I like to call it. We've got 4 amazing DR associate program directors who are both our mentors, friends, and confidants at times. They tend to move up with our classes just to give an added support system. And we've got 4 senior chief residents as well as 4 junior chief residents to create flexibility, share ideas and concerns across our classes, as well as a means of an extra support system. So for where do you work? Okay, Yale New Haven Hospital. It's a large tertiary care center, one of the largest in the US, provides service to a huge catchment of area of New York and Rhode Island. It's a 1,500 bed hospital, maybe the second biggest after Jack Memorial, level 1 trauma center with oncology center, Peds hospital, as well as other surgical and medical subspecialties. We've got multiple satellite hospitals, SRC, Shoreline, Milford, VA, tons of pathology. We have a shuttle system that goes in between for your convenience. Due to the wide range of institutions that fall under this umbrella, we also provide a huge breadth and depth of pathology from both screenings to transplant cases. Just pick your, take your pick. So we also have the catchment area, like I said, from Rhode Island to New York. This is just a little geographic map to show this. For our daily workflow, okay? So for the daily workflow, basic from 7:30 to 8:30, okay? We have AM conference. From 8:30 to 12:45, we're on service, and then we go grab lunch, and then from 1 to 2, we're in-house PM conference. From 2 to 5, we basically are on service, reading our cases and so on. All the conferences are in person unless you're off site, then you're on Zoom. For the lectures, these are all recorded on Panopto, basically for our convenience. And at the same time, you never miss out any of the lectures, which the curriculum is repeated on a year and a half basis. Also note that we have an R1 boot camp. The R1 boot camp is basically trying to give you a support and resource and provide the foundation as well as blueprints so that our radiology residents that start out first are not inundated by all the information that they're being loaded onto, okay? You will become very comfortable in the role of consultant as well as have a wide range of clinicians that will come into the rooms to discuss different pathologies and workups. And this will make you just a better clinician overall. So the IT infrastructure, we have the latest technology from the best scanners to the fastest PACS, Visage, which is one of the rated best PACS system ever. It is user-friendly, streamlined, integrated with Epic and PowerScribe 360. Images are beautiful and they're available remotely on your tablet, smartphone. I know we always carry our smartphones with us. They're real-time multi-planner and have 2-dimensional processing. The communication center is for critical findings to produce sort of the non-clinical duties that we can find on for our residents as well as our staff. ADOC is our program for radiology to help us detect those small little pulmonary nodules, and we're testing runs on PEs now as well. Primordial is a communicator system that spans across radiology specialties as well as the staff, and this facilitates a lot of our HIPAA compliant conversations that we have online. So what is our clinical curriculum? As you can see, you're building the foundational blocks during R1 to R3 with greater responsibilities and obligations. In your R4, you have increased responsibilities, but you also have the privilege to personalize your learning with many fellowships. We have a wide range of many fellowships. You go from body, breast, MSK, cardiac, neuro, research, informatics. These are just to name a few. You can guide your own so-called fourth-year fellowships however you like. Whether you're interested in medicine, global outreach, whether you're interested in informatics, we've got it all. For global outreach in Tanzania, the Road to IR program, it's a 2-week Tanzania program that is reimbursed for this, okay? So it's just basically a good excuse to do good, travel, and also make some memories. For the nuclear medicine track, that is actually I do myself as well, and it was piloted when I was in R1. It's a 16-month pathway that basically become board eligible to be both radiologist trained and nuclear medicine trained. The Holman research pathway is up to 24 months of dedicated research time to pursue your passionate research endeavors for those who are very active in that field, okay? So you can see right here, if anything, we've got the wide breadth of anything you're interested in, and we will support your endeavors in this. So current call structure, what is it? So during the weekdays, you're on call. So you're working from pretty much 7:30 to 5, okay, with like conferences interest first, okay? After that, you head down to the ED, and from 5 to 9:30 p.m. during the weekdays, you are on call. As a junior, you're reading radiographics. As a senior, you're doing more CTs, ultrasounds, so on and so forth. You don't start night float until you're in R2 year. You read pretty much cross-sectionals, ultrasound, and everything, okay? Now note that we have a very nice call schedule. Versus, I know the medicine, which you guys will find out next year and probably already experienced it, every 4 days, every 3 days, you're on call, right? Here, you literally have 2 to 3 times of call per month, okay? And if you want to front load it, back load it, whatever, but most of your weekends are free, guys. We are adulting, and this honestly helps support that. Okay, the other, I do want to get back to actually one thing. A burgeoning question that always comes up. Do we have independent call? I will say we do not. With that being said, we exercise and play our roles independently from the attending. We dictate consults and consult with trauma surgeons and neurosurgeons. We take ownership of our patients. At the same time, we do have a support system. Our attending is always there to basically find and catch the subtle nuances of something we might miss. We get instant feedback as to what we missed or what did we miss, right? And at the same time, we also get to learn from him and how he corrects our errors and how he's approaching the actual material and study. So I will say, I know that's a big question, but I found this to be very comforting, both for the patient safety issue, as well as my own instant feedback learning. So vacation, guys, you will love your vacation. It is an incredibly flexible vacation, okay? We have the best vacation policy. We have not only 20 weekdays a year. Now, think about it this way. If you take 5-day vacation and you have 2 weekends that are spanning it free, you have 9 days off. Medicine does not do that. No other specialties pretty much do that. So you basically have 20 weekdays a year, but theoretically speaking, you can have 9 times let's say 4, okay? So also we have, in addition to that, extra half staff holiday time, tri-staff 4 days. So during the Thanksgiving week, New Year's week, and Christmas week, we have 4 days where we get off, in addition to that 1 day off on Thanksgiving Day or the New Year's Day and so on. So again, you can get 9 days off during that time and actually have a vacation, go see your families and do catch up with lots of stuff. Okay, we also have a wellness day, which is reimbursed up to $50. Okay, you go out, have a nice dinner with your significant other, or just have a spa day for yourself, and it is reimbursed. Okay, we also have extremely good flexibility for FMLA and personal and sick leave. Okay, FMLA, we give up to 6 weeks for parental leave for the males and up to 12 weeks for females. Okay, now you can take those all at once. You can divvy it up throughout the year when the baby gets cute and you want to show off to grandparents and they have an immune system, go for it. Okay, you just let us know. In terms of also the vacation, and I want to mention, when you ask for vacation, we don't even ask that it be a week or a month or a year in advance like they did to us in internal medicine. Literally, if my residents tell me the night before, even the morning of, I really need to take a vacation today, I will make sure that happens. Whether you're supernumerary or not, it does not matter. I will pull if I have to, I'll make it happen. That way you get to do and live your life how you need it to, okay? The same thing with personal sick leave. You need a sick leave, even if it's 8:30 in the morning, you're like, I really can't today, I need to be off, or I have a doctor's appointment, we give it to you. We don't ask questions, you're an adult, guys, right? So we make sure that we just go by an honor policy, okay? Now, benefits, okay? Salary relative to cost of living. We're not playing an arm and a leg glorified shoebox set in New York, okay? Trust me, you will have space, lots of space in Connecticut, and you pay a lot less for it, okay? You can be a sole income provider, which many of our residents are, where they have a stay-at-home wife, they have multiple kids, and they're still paying mortgage on their houses while they're maybe sometimes moonlighting. They don't always have to moonlight, but they pay us well enough, and the housing prices are wonderful. So baseline salary when we do PGY2 is $74,850. We get free healthcare insurance, end of the year bonuses. We match your 503. We have hospital provided iPhones for those, I know, iPhone aficionados, okay, with unlimited cellular service worldwide. So you travel, go on those nice fancy trips, everything is covered. Just take that iPhone, guys. So the meal stipend for also off-hour rotations, okay? Radiology resident lounges, we've got our own personalized lockers and everything, okay? Now, moonlighting, okay, we've got multiple moonlighting opportunities, and it's not just privy to our 4s or R3s. This is up for grabs for R1 through R4, okay? You have divine, Hamden, contrast coverage. We have competitive pay. We asked for an increase in pay, and basically the hospital gave it to us. Everything, a lot of it is resident run, which is something amazing you'll find here at Yale. We have 80 radiology assistants, we have triage students, we have teaching opportunities. So we play an active role in education through teaching medical students and Yale students, though that one is not paid. However, you do gain a wealth of experience and training for those who are interested, okay? But the teaching at Yale PA school, that is paid, and so are the rest of these moonlighting opportunities. Now, for our educational, For our educational funding, so we get an yearly educational fund 2,000, which increased from 14,000. Okay, 1,400. Sorry. So board study funds are about $450. We get free access to Ride Primer, Stat DX, e-Anatomy, and MRI Online. We have unlimited conference attendance as presenters, tiered reimbursements. What that basically means is I've had a resident who's been to 8 conferences because she was a presenter, and she got reimbursed for each presentation. So that is unlimited, just so you know. Okay, now what is, if you want to, let's say you're not interested in research and you want to go to a conference, you are allowed up to 1 conference attendance without being a presenter or anything, right? And that's not reimbursed. However, it's like you have ample resources to do this. Okay, also for our poster, to know some of the exact prices, we can get $750 for poster educational exhibit, up to $1,250 for poster educational exhibits with oral presentation, and up to $1,750 for oral presentations. Those are just to give you a little flavor of the numbers. So next, research presentations. You can see that our residents are very active in research. You don't have to be, okay? However, they take ample opportunities and resources that we provide here at Yale, and they basically go all out on their career aspirations. They present RSNA, AUR, ASNR, STR, AUR. Some of you guys might not know what these represent, but once you get out in the radiology world, you will know that these are big names, and it is amazing what you can do here, okay? For our selected research works, basically, it's just a selected researchers of all of our accomplished residents. So you can see that they go from AI doc to transplants to breast findings, you name it. If you want to do a research, there are plenty of mentors that will help you through this, okay? And even if they don't have their name on the paper, it does not matter, because everybody is just supports you in whatever endeavors you have. Now, society involvements, okay? Here at Yale, we'll provide the means and opportunities to involve yourself in research, societies, and advocacy, but you are the driver in your educational experience, and we hope that you take these opportunities along with memories of a lifetime, okay? We have our residents participating in a multitude of societies, as well as meeting the Surgeon General, which one of our residents have. We have our beloved residents on the radiographics team, and so forth. These are 2 of our residents who are awesome researchers. So society involvements, okay? Furthering more information. Another society is the YRFS Resident Fellow Senate, which 2 of our residents are members of. Basically, they are established to help create the best medical training environment in the nation. They want to facilitate interdisciplinary collaborations and mentorship and opportunities. Everything is patient-centered with culture for respect and integrity, as well as leadership of physicians, okay? We are creating future leaders here, guys. So Women in Radiology Group. So the world leaders for right now, it's our esteemed Dr. Ash, Dr. Saylor, Dr. Dewitt, Dr. Cerniak. Some of these are residents who then went on to become Yale Fellows, who then went on to become attendings here, okay? Which tells you, you know, this is in a wonderful place. It is, it's warm, it's friendly, it fosters nurture and development, so people want to stay here and grow roots, okay? They promote the growth and success of outstanding women. As you can see, many of our women are in strong leadership roles, and we will show that in the next few slides. So here are some of our women leaders. This is Dr. Hooley, she's Vice Chair of Clinical Affairs. Then you have Dr. Leslie Scout, who is Medical Director of the Board member in ABR. Here, let me just point right here. This is Dr. Leslie Scout. This is Dr. Regina Hooley. This is Dr. Leva. She's a Fellowship Program Director among her other roles. Dr. Davis, she's our Vice Chair of Informatics and as well as Technology. And then you have our recently who just started retiring is Chief Diagnostic Imaging at the VA. Okay, Dr. Caroline Taylor. So to continue women's leadership roles, you can see that we have a multitude of APDs, medical directors, and we have section chiefs and so on and so forth. And to add to that, these are 4 of our women chief residents, okay? So half of our chief residents are female to level the playing field, like I say, okay? So we have 4 other males, okay? But I did want to highlight that, you know, if you are interested, they will support you in the strong leadership roles. We cater to a diverse population, and we cater to the minority as well, okay? Now, accomplishments. Here are some highlights of our accomplished Yale residents. They've done grants, they've gotten grants, they've made books, they've done become SSR scholars. These are just some of the highlights of them. This is our dearly Dr. Long too. He was a actual resident who then went on to become a neuroradiology fellow, who then went on to ED fellowship. I think he's a forever student. We're just kind of adopted in Yale, and he's wrote 2 books. He's an amazing person. Here is one of our fellow research grant who's also almost a forever student. He's doing his PhD throughout Yale, and then he'll be going on to do fellowship for 2 years. And so let me tell you, whatever you do, we will support you through it. Here are the fellowship match list, okay, as of 2023. And you can see we pretty much get our first choice, okay? And you'll see some of us actually do stay here because we have families, we have formed roots, we would still love the institution, and there's amazing teachers and mentors here, okay? So really, why Yale? We've got state-of-the-art technology, world-renowned faculty, breadth and depth of all these pathologies. So here we go, former residents. Here are some former residents that have gone on to do amazing things, okay? And they fulfill important roles in academia, chairs, as private practice, so-called entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. You can see, if you like leadership roles and positions, we have the breadth and depth of them. Now, we've also got world-renowned faculty, okay? So we have the Dr. Michelle Johnson, she's a gold medalist for ASER. Same thing, Dr. Gordon Zay, he also won the gold medal award for ASSR 2021. Dr. Lewin, he's our president of Society of Breast Imaging. And Dr. Goodman, he is our vice chair, who is also recently made vice chair of Yale Medicine Board, and he's our chairman of radiology as well. And here's our Dr. Foreman, who is actually referred to as Howie, who not only is an incredible radiologist, but also teaches economics at Yale and finds the time to tweet and educate the mass about the disparities we face as a nation. Okay, so follow him guys on Twitter. So program ranking, with support and the hard work of our residents and faculty, we are listed as Aunt Minnie's semifinalist best radiology training program and US News ranking number 9, okay? So here we go. Number 10, the best medical research as well. And the numbers speak for ourselves, guys. And I will have Dr. Ben Jang, who is my co-chief, take it over. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shanton. I will take over from here, the PowerPoint. All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen. All right, guys. So my name is Ben, one of the chief residents. So I'm gonna I'm gonna talk about what's it like living in New Haven. But this slide specifically more about Connecticut. This is like our recent survey of all our residents, like where they live. And as you can see from these pie charts, see that a lot of our residents like to live in downtown New Haven, and a lot of them do live in apartments. However, we do also have our fair spread of other residents who may be living in more like a local suburb, or they might be even living further off. And it also varies whether they be renting, or some of the residents actually purchase their own homes as they may have family as well. So this is like a classic view of one of our like high rises. It's like a 360 apartment. A lot of our residents do live there, and it has great amenities. Not only this apartment, but a lot of the apartments downtown in New Haven. You know, you got your own pool, grill, big open fields with a nice view of the New Haven city. And this is another apartment complex. It seems like a lot of our new R1s happen to be living in this complex. So I thought I'd give it like a little shout out. And if you can kind of peer from the distance, you can also see the Long Island Sound. As some of you guys may know, the New Haven is actually like a coastal city, so you have access to a great amount of beaches around here. So, you know, I want to give shout out to New Haven Greens. New Haven Greens, like this really great open field right in the center of downtown. A lot of like different events are held here, like concerts. Really, really breathtaking view during the fall when the foliage is taking effect. And I show you this because a lot of people will kind of live around the New Haven Green area. And when you do, you're pretty much in the thick of the university grounds itself. You know, just by for example, in the 2 pictures here, you can see the same chapels kind of show you how close you are, or pretty much in the university grounds itself. Now, I kind of say this because, you know, not taking any away from the New Haven, but being at Yale really you're in like the cultural mixing pot of really great minds from all around the world. And not only you're learning radiology here, but you really get to really broaden your perspective, your views, and develop as a person. So what we picked of downtown. This is like a image of downtown, like street right next to the New Haven Green. We have our fair share of like really great local stores and restaurants. And it may seem really quiet and calm now, but during Friday nights and the weekends, it can get quite busy. A lot of people are out there, meeting, having drinks, or meeting up for dinner and whatnot. And New Haven itself, like to host various different kind of events, like cultural parties, like the night market, where a bunch of different entrepreneurs come out, share their music, arts, drinks, food. It's really like a wonderful kind of type of night. And if the hustle and bustle of downtown gets too much, we have great selection of local towns like the Milford, East Rock, a bit more away, more quaint. You can get a place with close to the ocean with your share of great local markets as well. I'll be remiss if I didn't have to give a shout out to our wonderful selection of outdoor scenes. Like I said, we are a coastal city, so we have a great selection of local beaches all around where we are living. This is one of the lighthouse point we have access to. And other local parks like the East Rock Park or the Sleeping Giant, all within like 10-minute drive from downtown. And we also have access to the Yale University Outdoor Education Center, which is really great because it's like a dedicated center just for, if you want to do camping, if you want to do kayaking like down here. They also have their yacht club if you want to learn how to sail. They also have their golf course if you want to learn how to golf as well. Really a lot of selections, and you can even hold different events there as well. So, a lot of programs, talk about wellness, but we really do make it a priority here. For example, we have a dedicated social fund just for our residency wellness. We have $6,000 a year, and depending on the social committee, which I am a part of, we hold different kind of events that best suits the wellness of our program. On top of that, we also have a wellness fund of $50 per resident per year. As you may heard from my colleague Janet, we get a wellness day where you get 1 day off per year, and on that day you get to spend $50 on however you want. That contributes to your wellness. We also have an associate program director outing with resident, where the APD will take out all their residency class to a local restaurant, or they could be more intimate and invite them to their place, and they can spend up to $50 per resident for the dinner. And we have various like different kind of activities that goes on here, and I'll show you some pictures in the future, coming slides to show about what these are. But like we have things like closer to free bike ride fundraiser. We have department parties, the clam bake, Christmas party, etc. And also we have house staff events, solidarity nights where we all, dress up nicely and go to a nice venue. It's just like an idea just to raise solidarity among just the trainees. First Fridays to meet not only your radiology colleagues, but all the other your colleagues in different parts, so different specialties in medicine. House staff picnic and Yale Harvard football game as well. So, for example, this is a clam bake from a few months ago. It's a really nice kind of country club at Seaside Place. We had all the lobsters that we like to eat, and we all of our residents kind of enjoying that and taking that moment in. Closer to free bike ride fundraiser. Here we can see our residents, attendings, and fellows all getting along, getting on their bikes, riding for a greater cause, raise funds for cancer research and this is actually the finish line where the at the hospital, the Yale Hospital at the Smilo Center entrance. And the Yale Harvard football game, they call it the game, every other year it's held at New Haven at the Yale Bowl. And our house staff office generously hosts like a really large tailgating event just for the house staff. And they have free food there, free drinks. Your tickets are all paid for. It's a really fun time to see what this event's about. I'll give a little caveat though. If you're coming from a big football school, it might be a little bit disappointing in terms of the football game itself. But wellness and social events, we got a lot of these guys. We all hanging around. This is actually me down here at the Yale Educational Outdoor Center, learning how to sail. It's not as easy as it looks. It's really tough. I have to tell you, it's definitely not chill. I don't know, but it's definitely an experience. I know we like to get together for like brunch at local restaurants. We hit the local slopes in Connecticut for skiing and snowboarding. There's like an image from our Hostat picnic. The picture doesn't really do justice for how big the area was. We had the pool, unlimited food, drinks, all different kind of events going on. Really fun for the entire family and friends, and even your kids also. More images here. Some of our residents like to go to the local wineries. Our APD, Dr. Wang, took us out for dinner at East Rock Brewery. We get recruited quite often from places, so they took us out for dinner, drinks, and this particular event was like an axe throwing competition, which is pretty cool. And not only football, but we also like to visit different athletic events, like the hockey game we went to a couple years back. And as for our ones, we always want to set them up for success. When they come here, we set you up with a resident mentor and a faculty mentor in order for you to explore what your career goals are when you're here. And once you graduate from here, you're part of the Yale Radiology Alumni Network, which in such a big program such as this, we span everywhere in the States. And after the orientation is over, we like to have fun and have their annual rooftop party for all the R1s to get them all situated. Now this slide's for Armand, one of our residents. He had this he's a very interesting guy. He's really brilliant. He's in the radiology and PhD combined program, and has interesting hobbies like competitive dancing, which he recently competed at La Classique du Quebec. But he made like a montage review as like a life as a Yale Rad-Res resident. And if you want to give a few seconds to scan this QR code here, actually goes to our YouTube radiology page. You can see what his life as like a montage of a resident has been like here. So I'll give a couple of maybe seconds. If anyone wants to take a photo of that. And as being like a resident, it's almost like a meme now that we all have like our Patagonia jackets, and might as well make it more streamlined. And we created an online store, and these items you see are just like the peak of the iceberg. And we have so many different kind of apparel, and from what we see here all the way down to mugs. Really nice to have, but also really makes a good holiday gifts for your family as well. And this store is open all day, all days throughout the year. An interesting tidbit. The show house is actually based off of the Yale New Haven Hospital, coming from like Dr. Lisa Sanders, one of the more famous attendings at Yale. And she actually has like a show on Netflix called Diagnosis. And actually one of the image or one of the short cine clips, you can actually see Dr. Long too, one of our past resident fellow and now current attending in action in one of the scenes. So really cool. And Road to IR, for our senior residents, we have a global outreach elective available. Myself and like a few co-residents of mine, we just came back from Tanzania, which is a country in East Africa. The idea of it is to create self-sustaining IR program for them to prevail on their own. We went there and like taught the residents there. Our IR residents participated in different kind of IR procedures there as well. And we also like to have a little break between the work weeks, and during the weekend we went out to the Serengeti and went on safari. And we even got to meet this really famous, most famous artist in East Africa called Diamond Platinum. So it was just really a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I actually made like a small vlog about this, which I have the QR code for if you guys are also interested, kind of seeing what our interactions like as co-residents and along the Road to IR experience as well. So I give a few seconds if you do want to scan this code here. So, we have a recurring segment on our our Instagram page. We all have these action shot of our residents at work. So if you come here, we hope to see you in one of our these recurring segments. So with that all being said, if you guys have any questions down the line, feel free to email ydr.chiefs@yale.edu. And please follow us at Twitter and Instagram to get our, to see what the in-depth life is like as a resident here, along with any new updates. Our handle is at Yale Rad too. So now with all this being said, we want to go over the questions we got received through registration. And we just want to say that we really tried our best to comb through all the questions we got. And if you felt like the questions were not, properly answered through our presentation, we made a list of it. And we have different panelists here who will help answer these questions. So first up, we have a set of questions that will be best answered by our one and only Dr. Bukhari, if he would like to answer his set of questions here.
Great. Thank you very much, Ben. A great presentation, Chief Residents, as usual, on the cutting edge of things. So let's just tackle the questions. What we have done is that we have looked at every single question that has come through and grouped the questions as they are. I know there are more questions coming through the sessions. We will be answering that. There is, in the question answer session, there is a question that they're requesting the residents to answer. If Jonathan and or Ben can look at that while I'm answering the other questions, that will be great. Thank you so much. We will endeavor to answer all of your questions during the time allotted. So here we go. What about the philosophy of the residency program? And that, I think, is a very important and critical question, because on your interview trail, when you're looking at all of the programs, you will come across many programs which are well endowed with faculty and with facilities. However, the way to distinguish between these programs is the philosophy of the program. And our philosophy is that our program is very resident-centric. What does that mean? What that means is that our residents participate in their education. This is the residents' education. This is your life. This is where you're going to train and become future leaders. Our expectations are that we will provide you with all the facilities that we can to become the world expert at that, what you wanted to do. There is a lot behind that philosophy that I do not have time to really fully detail on this forum. However, so the expectations for the residents are very high, but there's a full support system to support the residents to achieve that. And as I said, it's a resident-centric program. The residents participate in there. We changes the block schedules, the vacation policies, the wellness policies, all of those. The residents participate fully. As you can see, there are 8 chief residents, 4 junior, 4 senior. There's a reason for that. There are 4 APDs. All of those are there for the support. And we look at this as a bridge between residents and the faculty, so that whatever the residents have to say about their own residency is implemented within the program. So it's a dynamic, continuously changing program, most of the changes being either initiated or implemented by the residents themselves, either directly or through their chief residents. Second question, do you have a USMLE cutoff score? This becomes an important question, especially now that we are in a transition period where some of the candidates will have a USMLE Part 1 score and some will not, depending on when you took that exam, as you know. But let me take you back to before this time when we did not have that. So in a very short answer to that question is that no, we do not have a USMLE cutoff score that is an absolute gatekeeper, meaning we don't say that we will look at applications with a USMLE score of this and no applications below that. We look at everybody's applications, which is not a mean task. We have more than 1,200 applicants last year. You can well imagine the effort that goes into it. But again, in terms of that resident-centric philosophy that we have, I feel very, very importantly that this is somebody's life that we are dealing with, and we cannot be as cursory, as dependent on just one data point in their life of achievement to decide whether they should interview here or not. So we do look at their entirety of that application, and every data point is important. And that includes their USMLE scores or pass fail, but it's not really a gatekeeper effect on that. Everything adds up. It's a very competitive residency. So obviously, if you have low scores or very poor scores, then you're competing with everybody else who has high scores and all the credentials are similar, then that will be a point that will be considered. Now, there are questions about the signaling, and I will bring that into the conversation here. I've also answered that briefly in the question and answer session, that signaling and tokens are being viewed very similarly, meaning it's just another data point that you're sending us. If you are interested in a program and you do to give us this through your supplemental ERAS application and you do send us tokens, well, it'll just tell us that you are a little more interested in our program than the other programs. I understand radiology candidates, DRIR combined, have just 6 tokens, so that's not much to play around with. I also understand therefore that we will get many very strong candidates who've not sent us a token. We will still consider their application fully. So just like any other data point in your application, if you send us a token, it'll be an additional element to your application, but not a gatekeeper effect. Not just for your interview, like your USMLE score, like if you send you as a token, we will consider that not just for your interview process, but also then it will be part of your application when you do interview with us as a whole. It will be considered, but just another data point, not, as I've said, we're not going to make that into a gatekeeper type of effect, no all or none principle over there. I hope that answers the question. Having said that, I mean, signaling and tokens is as new to you guys as it is to us. Some radiology programs participated in last year. About 80% or so are going to be participating in this year. So we will see how that goes. Okay, on that note. There was another, I think, specific question somewhere in the line about then will this give more significance to the USMLE Part 2 score? Currently, as things stand till last year, USMLE 2 was not a mandate requirement for US graduates, but it was a requirement for IMGs to have done that, to be considered in the application process. As far as I know, that is going to be considered similarly this year. Will we wait for USMLE 2 scores to really inform us about candidates interview? The answer is no, not for this year. Okay, that is for the US graduates. For international medical graduates, we do require that they have taken that. What else? Are there program changes to the radiology program or hospital system in the upcoming years? Well, to really fully answer that question for you, I probably need about 3 months of time with you. It's a very dynamic program. There are changes that are coming all the time. We welcome change. I think the more important thing to look at, and I have many specific examples of change that we are instituting. We expect our residents all the time to let us know where improvement can be made in the program, in the education parameter, in the wellness and well-being of the residents, and we take that very seriously and we institute that. It's a continuous process. Literally, at any given time, there are many projects which are going on where change is occurring within the residency. Now, there are multiple kinds of change, and I'll take a little bit of your time to answer that, because what is more important than knowing exactly specifically what change is coming is more important is how does the residency leadership view change. So like I've said, we look at change as an absolute essential to the growth of the residency, to keep ourselves on the cutting edge. There are numerous kinds of change that may affect the resident training. One is change that is not in our control, change that happens because of forces outside residency. and we don't have time to react to that, I will give you examples of that in a moment, then there can be change which is forced upon us ourselves, but we have time to react to it. And secondly, change that we continuously implement ourselves. Now, remember, for most administrators in the world, change is anathema. People don't want change. They want the status quo. It's easy. It doesn't require much effort to have this. That's the difference between being an administrator and a visionary leader, in my opinion. That visionary leader espouse change for the betterment of whatever program that is that they are instituting change in, rather than just trying to maintain status quo, because life around you is changing all the time. So let me just give you a very brief example. So something that happened that did not give us much time to react to, a good example is COVID. And how we changed to that. We implemented numerous things that we were able to. We protected. We made sure that our patients are well taken care of. We also wanted to make sure our residents are well protected and taken care of. And the balance that we found is that we wanted to have some residents forward facing, but rotate them in and out. And more than 50% of our residents were then taking jeopardy rotations from home. We did not want their education to be negatively impacted during that process. So they were given first virtual imaging stations and then real imaging stations so that they could work from home during the process, had a very flexible program. We even went to the ACGME to make sure that these rotations were approved and it will be count toward the residency so that the residency doesn't have to be extended to it. So all of these changes were implemented. Second example of change that is forced upon us, but we have given time to react to it is, for example, the change in the board structure, where now instead of having oral exams, we have written exams, the core examination structure, the institution of the IR residency, the ESIR program. These are all changes that were instituted upon us from outside sources, but we were given the opportunity to make this change. The very important thing to understand about change is that we have a philosophy of change, like I said, and we espouse change ourselves and are continuously. But if you want to really cause a change which is positive in the society, if you want to fight world hunger, you can't do it with a philosophy. You need to have the resources behind it to be able to do it. And that is a very important thing. Yale has a lot of resources that we can put behind these changes. And I wish I had more time to let you know, but we have actually put in place changes and support for residents to the tune of multiple millions of dollars going towards the education supported by our hospital and by the institute. So I hope that that elaborate answer tells you our philosophy of change and how we view change. As I've said, it is just too many examples moving forward that we cannot really list over here. How does the residency support diversity? Let me answer that and bring together resident wellness, well-being, and diversity into one forum, because at the end of the day, we are talking of wellness and well-being of all humans, and we do have a very humanistic approach to the residency. It all starts for us when you are right now, for you as the candidate. For wellness, well-being, and diversity, first and foremost is that we look at only your credentials as to who you are, irrespective of your background, whether it's social, ethnic, religious, or national background. It is not viewed at all in your application process. Basically, what is viewed at is your are your credentials. And these are things which are sort of becoming popular now and fashionable now, and people are putting in well-being committees and diversity committees. And so for us at Yale, and I've been program director for more than 17, 18 years now, and been at Yale for around 30 years, that this has been the philosophy that we run the residency on forever. This is who we are. We look at the residents. It's a resident-centric program. It always has been. And for us, as you will see, and I can give you examples of that, we truly really implement and embody what resident wellness and diversity mean. Just look at the group of the resident. The first picture that the resident shows you, you will know how we espouse diversity looking at that, our group of residents and our group and our faculty. We have instituted policies. So wellness to me is not just giving you $50 to have a good time once in a year or to give you a day off. Wellness and to me means that you are taken care of on a daily basis, every minute, every hour that you are with us on the resident, that we've implemented programs in the residency which support you. And we have many such examples where we have been the cutting edge. We are the first in the country to do so. And there are other programs which are still struggling to implement those changes. I'll give you just one example. In the ER, where the one thing the residents have to do the most in any program is answer phone calls continuously and be busy with that kind of work. And that is obviously not much loved. There is very little learning experience built in that. How many times can you pick up the phone and say, oh, you want cardiology? Sorry, this is radiology. One gets tired of doing that. We understand and understood that many, many years ago. We've implemented programs where there are medical students triaging and we pay them well to do the work. They work in the ER to help the residents so that they can focus on reading the studies. We also have a radiology assistant program further supporting these. These programs are not cheap. Residents are paid. Each radiology assistant is paid well over $125,000 supported by the department, and we were 3 of them. So we have the resources to put in changes which are meaningful towards resident wellness. Towards that, we have a very strong resident mentorship program. Somebody asked that question too. We call it Yale Forever. It starts now with you as a candidate, and when you become when you join us and are doing your preliminary year and hopefully continues forever. It involves multiple residents and multiple faculty members. Number of studies, procedures available for residents and interfere. This I answered for the ESIR, but our program. Overall, Yale Diagnostic Radiology and IR has about close to 1 million studies per year available. That's the number of studies that we do. And with our trainees and the requirements, we can actually easily triple or quadruple the number of trainees that we have and still meet ACGME requirements for training everybody if they were to participate in all the studies available. So there are a huge number of studies available for our residents to participate. Our residents do much over the minimum requirement, but we keep a very fine balance. We also look to make sure that our residents or outlier residents are not reading above the 60th, 70th percentile of the nation, that they are not just reading studies, but have time to really sit back and think about what they are doing too. So we keep a very fine balance and try to keep our resident study numbers at around the 50th percentile for large academic centers. But we do have a primary care center and a quaternary care center, not just a tertiary care center. So our residents are involved in not just bread and butter imaging studies, but also involved in super specialized procedures and studies which are done only at Yale because we are at the cutting edge of those. So it's a wide mix of things, but no resident dearth of studies. And we are very, very watchful of that and monitor that very closely. Is there any interference from other trainees and fellows? Our residency is a resident-heavy program. There are twice as number of residents as there are fellows in our program. So, so basically, it's a resident-heavy program, but that doesn't mean do we get interference. Occasionally, that happens. There are fellows working, but we keep a very close eye on it and make sure we institute changes. As an example of what changes have been made, which are resident-centric in the past. These are some of the changes we made when we realized that on certain rotations, like neuroradiology, there were fellows which were in the reading room with the residents, so we changed that around. So we are watchful of that. Much of the questions that IMGs had asked me about visas I've answered on the question and answer center. We are welcoming to everybody and anybody as long as they have credentials which make us believe that they will excel in what they do. At the end of the day, we want you to be the world-class radiologist, not just an average radiologist, not just an excellent radiologist, but at the world expert that you do. And we are looking for somebody that has that drive and that motivation to become that. And we promise we will provide all the facilities and resources for you to make that happen. But this is a two-way street. This is your education. We are here to augment that and help you with your drive to really achieve what you want to achieve, no matter who you are and from where you are. Okay, over to you, Ben.
All right, thank you for the excellent answer, Kari. For the next set of questions, I'd like to invite Dr. Mahathiri here for the next set of questions.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So we have, so yeah, I can answer these ones. And then there's some questions I think that are for the chiefs that are also kind of intertwined with the chat. So we'll make sure we answer all of them. And thank you, the audience, for asking all these questions. This is great. Really gives us a chance to engage with you. So we really appreciate it. So somebody had asked in the chat box, what qualities do I seek in a successful applicant? That is a really great question. It's a very difficult question, and it's a very personal question, right? So each and every one of us who interview will probably say their own version of the answer. I will say, and probably the answer I'm going to give you is not satisfactory, because you're probably hoping for like that one key thing that will get you in, and so I apologize in advance. But the fact of the matter is, we get the absolute amazing applicants who apply to us. It's the toughest job to go through all these applications and having to somehow figure out that we're going to interview, X number of people. And we have those people. I will say that that group of people, for the most part, in our eyes, have the academic credentials, the scores, the med school stuff, everything. They have the research stuff. Everything is in place for the most part. So on some level, once you get an interview here, I always think that you're kind of on a level playing field with each other. And in that period of time, I need to decide whether you're someone who's truly passionate about radiology. And I also need to figure out whether you're somebody I can work with for about at least 8 hours a day, right? So today I was in the reading room and I'm working with a resident. We were, side by side for 8 hours, and I loved it. And that doesn't mean that that person has to be like me. It just means that that person has to have something about them that I can just talk to them about. So my resident today loves biking. He did the Closer to Free ride. He loves going to different wineries, and I asked him what he's watching on TV. He's trying to learn French. So he's watching these French TV shows. So I learned a little bit about that. So this is the sort of stuff that I'm looking for. If I can find those elements in an applicant, believe me, you have a great chance. And I know all of you have those elements. So perhaps it's not the satisfactory answer, but that's the honest answer from my perspective. The second thing you asked about here is teaching opportunities. There are a ton of teaching opportunities. So you will teach at the med school and all 4 years of the medical school here if you want to. I'm in charge of that, so I will recruit you to speak. You can speak for the PA school. You get paid to do that. You will teach medical students when they come rotate with us in their electives. You will teach younger residents, right? You don't think about that in terms of teaching, but you will teach them when they're on service and help them and guide them and mentor them. You have tremendous opportunities for teaching, and we're really lucky that we end up recruiting all these residents who love to teach. I mean, that's, I think, a hallmark of many of the residents in our program. They just love teaching, and so we're good. We're really blessed with that. Makes my job a lot easier. IMG DO friendly program, absolutely. Just look at the list of people in our program in the last, as far as I've been here. I've been here now 10 years. We in fact have people who are experienced in screening IMG applications and DO applications, because we know that sometimes they're a little bit different than the other application from US grads who are not from those programs. And so we absolutely accept them. Many of our best residents have been IMGs and DOs. Our chief residents have been IMGs and DOs. We pride ourselves on that. And, we just go out and try to recruit the very best people, irrespective of their IMG or DO status, because we've just seen some of the best residents come from those programs.
Thank you so much, Mahan. Great answers. Next part, we'll go ahead and hand over to Chief Residents. We have 4 questions here, and if my colleague Janet can take the first 2, I'll take the next half.
Sounds good. So how open is the program to accepting people not in the same geographic location? We have no geographic preference, guys, okay? You might have a geographic preference, okay, but we do not. We only look for well-rounded individuals whose core principles and values align with ours in regards to just becoming the best radiologist and overall great human being, okay? Just to piggyback off what Dr. Mahan and Dr. Bukhari has been saying the whole time, okay? The next question is, what if any accommodations are made in preparation for exam? It's a little bit more specific and detailed, but for the most part, we have structured vacation time that is built near the core time to line within the ACGME policies and guidelines. We have senior boot camps, which is like a half day time with robust reading, and then the other half is self-directed board reviews and conferences. We have board reviews for 2 months starting early to give us a gauge to how we are in our knowledge base and fun to basically help us direct our own self-learning. Okay, so just to give you a little flavor of those questions. Ben, would you like to take it from there?
Yes, please. All right. So first question is, how is camaraderie between residents and how is the relations between resident and attendings? Now, this is a really good question because, having a great camaraderie between residents and it really impacts your training. And just for right off the bat, we have the best. But let me give you some examples. As a chief resident, one of our responsibilities is making sure everything runs smooth during a residency. Things happen. Life happens, and some of our co-residents, might have to go into some kind of emergency. Might be with them or their family members, and sometimes they're in a pickle because they might be in the middle of night float, and they have to take care of life, and we support that, and we really do. And part of that supportive process really comes for our really great co-residents. When this incident happened recently, when one of our co-residents had to take sick of leave, we immediately had a response from our co-residents, that they're willing to cover our co-resident who had to call out, middle of the day. Although this resident had been working early this morning, he was willing to go home, take a rest, and come back and finish the night shift for the rest of the week for this person. That's the kind of camaraderie we have here, and it's also the type that we are looking for in our applicants. And how was the relationship between residents and attendings? I have to say, man, our residents and attending relationship has just been so different from my view when I was a medical student itself. All our resident attending, pretty much like almost all of them are on a first name basis. It's that but I do feel uncomfortable like calling some of the attendings, who are like old enough to be my grandpa's as first name. So I don't like to do that. But we're really good friends. They like to get to know you. They add you on social media, whatever it is. I text them on all day. I text them all day today. We talk about Twitter, we talk about in the House of Dragon, what's going on. We're really good friends, and that's kind of the relationship we have here. Oh, and the last question for residents: what changes have been implemented within the DR department recently? How have the changes impacted your training? Another really great question. I can just give you off the bat example, with like COVID going on, there's been influx, dynamic changes has been going on. But luckily at Yale, we have been extremely fortunate to have, program leadership that has been responsive to our wantings. As chief residents, we're championing our co-residents on their needs to best fit their training. And after talking with co-residents, we surveyed that we want more in-house teaching after COVID had things kind of being more remote. We wanted more educational material like MR online to get best educators around the world being accessed anytime we want it. We wanted more wellness. We wanted more social funds in order to facilitate that. We wanted more competitive pay for moonlighting. All these things, all these things came true for us. Made significant impact in our training, not only our educational training, but also our wellness too. So it's really great having a seat at the table and being taken as, as someone, not only as like a resident, but as like a person, So I think that has been a really wonderful thing that I didn't realize until I'm in this situation now. So hopefully that answers your question. So after that's over, Mahan, maybe perhaps you want to take over from here if you have any time. Or you want
Sure, yeah. It's 9:05. We wanted to spend about an hour doing this. I just answered the last question, I think, on the Q&A. Thank you, again, to all our audience members for asking these questions. I mean, this is exactly what we wanted. We want to tell you everything we can about our program. And hopefully over the course of this hour, we've been able to do so. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're there for you. This is going to be an exciting season. We're really looking forward to meeting all of you. Again, I appreciate you being here today. And so we're about 6 minutes over. We do like to end on time, but we did want to answer all your questions. So with that, I'll close up the session. Thank you to all the panelists as well for taking the time. And we'll see you on the interview trail.
Yep. Good luck, everybody.